Really makes the Vikings special is Mike Zimmer's double A package. And what he does is he takes his two inside linebackers, Barr and Kendricks, and instead of lining them up at a normal alignment, he puts them in the A gap between the center and the guard. Then he takes his free safety, Harrison Smith, and he lines him up on the line of scrimmage. Then he takes his nickel corner and he puts him on the line of scrimmage on the strong side. So now they got 4 defenders on one side of the center, and they got 4 defenders on the other side of the center. It's Mike Zimmer's double A package. He did it in Cincinnati, he's doing it in Minnesota, and he's ripping people. A lot of the times, his 2 inside linebackers, they act like they're blitzing, but they bluff, and they run out of here and they play coverage. The free safety's acting like he's blitzing, and he bluffs, and he runs and covers the flat. The nickel is acting like he's blitzing, and he drops into the flat. Well, the next time you think they're bluffing, they bring them both. Or they bring one, and they bring him, and they bring 4 to his side.
I don't know about y'all, but John Gruden kind of convinced me I want Mike Zimmer here. This is a dude that has respect of all the coaches around the league for his prowess when calling defenses, and the results at pretty much every stop that he's made has definitely shown up for him. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the potential defensive coordinator candidates for the Dallas Cowboys as reported by some of the local beat writers. Now look, I know some of y'all might not be the biggest fans of Mike Zimmer, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the other candidates that could be coming to Dallas as the brand new defensive coordinator, and then we're going to take a closer look at the guy that's been getting the most press, which makes me feel like he's probably the most likely to get the job, especially since if you know anything about old people is that they love familiarity, and Mike Zimmer is definitely familiar with the Cowboys franchise. For those of you that don't remember, he was here as the defensive coordinator from 2000 to 2006, and we're going to take a look at exactly what he did with our team while he was with the Cowboys, but we're also going to take a look at some of the more recent things that he's done as a coach in the NFL. But some of the other coaches that are included on this defensive coordinator list are Ron Rivera, the former Washington Commanders head coach. Wink Martindale, very, very interesting name there. And we also have some in-house candidates by way of Joe Witt Jr. and Al Harris to go along with Mike Zimmer. That rounds out the 5 primary candidates that's been circulating around the Cowboys community that could be taking this job. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the most popular option out of all 5 of these guys so far, which is Mike Zimmer, guys. All right, so what's the most important thing that we need to know about our new defensive coordinator? That he's able to get this defense over the hump, that he is able to have an answer against the Shanahan coaching tree, which has honestly been like the bane of our existence as Cowboys fans. Pretty much anybody running that Shanahan style system has been whooping us up. All right, so we need someone that understands how to scheme against that particular play style, and Mike Zimmer, surprisingly, if we look at the defensive coverage index by coach from 2017 to 2023, which is a good range to look at because essentially that's how long Kyle Shanahan has been in San Francisco, I believe. But either way, we can see that Mike Zimmer has the highest DCI, defensive coverage index by coach, against the Shanahan tree, or the second highest, just barely behind Ron Rivera. On top of that, he also has an extremely high DCI against pretty much all the other teams as well. So by this particular graph, Mike Zimmer is an excellent choice if you're wanting a defensive coordinator that seems to have an answer against those pesky 49ers teams or any team running that type of concept, right? Other coaches on this list include Mike Vrabel, which is somebody that I wish the Cowboys would give a look to because I think he's a damn good defensive coach. And again, we already talked about Ron Rivera, which is another option. We already know that he's going to have an interview with Dallas later this upcoming week, the week of February 4th. He's going to be having an interview with Dallas later this week. So we know Ron Rivera, Mike Zimmer are 2 of the guys that are going to be here. You can see how badly, just how badly Dan Quinn performed against that Shanahan tree. He had the second lowest defensive coverage index out of all the coaches. And essentially the way that this number is calculated is it's based on a predictive weighting of target quality, CPOE, and YAC as components of expected points added per drop back allowed. CPOE is completion percentage over expected. So essentially this is an all-encompassing statistic that's showing you in general how well these defenses perform against those Shanahan teams, right? But Mike Zimmer, very, very high on that. Brandon Staley, Dan Quinn, very low against the Shanahan coaching tree. So I definitely know I don't want Brandon Staley here, especially since he had an absolute failure of a tenure in LA with the Chargers, man. And he had some studs on that defense. It's not like he was devoid of talent. Don't want him here. But I do want a guy here that was able to resurrect the Vikings and essentially take them on probably the most successful run that they've seen as a franchise in the 2000s, for sure, when he was the head coach, Mike Zimmer. He came in and made an immediate impact on that Minnesota Vikings defense, leading them to the 11th best scoring defense in 2014, 1 year after they ranked dead last. Mike Zimmer was able to have that type of impact on that team. His second year with the Vikings, he led that team to an 11-5 record, and even better than that, especially since Mike Zimmer called his defenses in Minnesota, he led the defense that ranked 5th in points allowed in the league. So again, a very, very salty, stingy defense out there in Minnesota, including being able to put clamps on Aaron Rodgers. Yes, the great Aaron Rodgers. Mike Zimmer was able to scheme up answers against amazing players. That's something we need from our defensive coordinators. The next season, even though Minnesota didn't even have a quarterback, they were still able to maintain the 6th best scoring defense and an 8-8 record again without a quarterback. That was the year Teddy Bridgewater went down with a freak injury. And in his 4th season, he actually led a defense that led the NFL in both points and yards allowed, which means Mike Zimmer knows what the heck he's doing, brother. And then after those successful seasons he had with the Vikings, the last 2 seasons that he was there in 2020 and 2021, they were rather disappointing, and that is what led to his dismissal in Minnesota. But make no mistake about it, Mike Zimmer has always done a good job of developing his defenses and making them into a salty unit. During the time he was here in Dallas in 2003, the defense led the league in yards allowed and was second in the league in points allowed. I think the most important part here, though, is outside of his first year as defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, which is usually like a building year, right? Outside of that first year, we never saw the rush defense be just abysmal, right? The lowest that the rush defense ranked in yards allowed while he was here outside of that first season in Dallas was number 15. But they also had a couple of other seasons where they were top 5 in touchdowns allowed by way of rushing the ball. And for the most part, his success carried with him pretty much at every stop he made, whether it was Dallas, Cincinnati, Minnesota. At least 2 of those seasons that he was with each of those teams, his defenses were extremely salty. And remember, Cincinnati and Dallas were the previous stops that he was a defensive coordinator at. 2013, Cincinnati had a hell of a defense under Mike Zimmer, and that was the season right before he went to Minnesota as a head coach. And I don't know, man, just beyond the X's and O's, I want a salty coach. I want a coach that's going to get in guys' faces.
Damn it, that's horse shit. If we get a press G, you get your fucking ass outside and get it contained. Okay? I told you this fucking quarterback runs. Keep him in the fucking pocket. You got me? You better quit bullshitting around.
I want a coach that is going to hold people accountable. I want to see some emotion on the sideline, and more importantly, I want to see him on the sideline. I don't know what DQ has with being in the press box, but it just always sat weird with me that he wasn't able to be down there and actually touch his guys on the field when they needed to be touched. Pause. But either way, Mike Zimmer, I kind of talked myself into it. If we go the path of least resistance, meaning we go the path of familiarity for the Joneses, I honestly don't have an issue with Mike Zimmer coming in because he is a tried and proven defensive coordinator who has had a couple of years off to kind of reinvigorate his battery, and I think that he's going to be a damn good addition to our coaching staff if they do go the path of a quote-unquote retread. But either way, y'all let me know what you think about this stuff down in the comments below. Y'all know how we have to end these videos now. We still them same old damn Cowboys. See y'all next time.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.